Hi everybody, welcome to the official pre-show for Monster Energy Supercross and FIM World Championship. I'm Kevin Barnett, joined by Jim Holley. This is Supercross Live on supercrossonline.com, fueled by Monster Energy. Here in round 8, Atlanta, inside the Georgia Dome. Going to be a great day of racing. But Jim, let's take it back to last week and talk about the results down there in Texas. It was a great first race for the Supercross Lights East Regional class. Some of the guys who we expected to be up front were up front, but a big surprise in Darren Durham for Pro Circuit, a guy who was out of a box fan just 6 months ago, puts it on the box. Yeah,
you know, everyone thought that Darren Durham should be up on the box. I know that's why Mitch Payton hired him over to Monster Energy Pro Circuit team, and you know, to come away with that second and be leading that main event for over half of the event was great for Darren Durham. It built a lot of confidence, and you got to remember he's coming off of a wrist injury, and he was slated to ride the West Coast, but unfortunately starts over here on the East, and I think that's a good thing because he rode East last year. He knows the tracks, and expect Darren Durham to win a couple of these.
One of the guys we expected to be a contender, Ken Roxon on that KTM, finished in third. Seemed like he was riding a pretty conservative race, like he was involved in the first race of what will be many.
That's another guy, Kevin, that you mentioned with wrist injury also. Ken Roxon just on the motorcycle only a couple weeks. So for him coming into the first race, he needed to get points. He needed to get the maximum he thought he could, which was third. But he was battling with Durham at the end there. They were side by side when they came over that finish line, but Durham edged him out for that second place. But Roxon, I think, you know, for him, you know, he tested that wrist. You know, you ride practice a little bit different than you race. You push a little harder, and his wrist held up, and look for Ken Roxon to be a threat here in Atlanta.
Of course, the winner down there in Texas, Justin Barsha, the #1 plate, didn't look like that was a heavy number for him at all.
No, not at all. And, you know, we used to call him Bam Bam. I think we can get away from that name because he was really nice. I mean, all his passes were really clean and didn't really get into any trouble. He had a little bit of a problem in the heat race, didn't get a good start, but he made some great passes coming through to win that heat race. And I think you're going to see him more mature. And I think the reason why that is, you know, he rode that 450 last year for Honda in the outdoors. So
right.
I think he gained a lot of confidence and a maturity of him, and you saw a more mature Justin Barsha, and you know, with that #1 plate, he comes maturity.
Well, we saw those three guys up front, but there were a wealth of other contenders. Blake Wharton had a good weekend, and some other guys. Who do you expect to step up this week?
Well, the guys that have to step up is Durham's teammate, and I'm talking about Blake Baggett. He had a horrible first round. I believe he ended up 15th. Had his problems in the first lap going down. Had his problems in practice, crashing and stuff. He just was a little off last week. And another guy, the rookie, Barsha's teammate, Justin Bogle. He was putting in a great ride till him and Stewart had that mayhem, and Stewart ended up finishing up. Still in that top 10, but Bogle 14th for the rookie, but he's got a lot of speed, and he was a little bit upset last week. We'll see how he rebounds here in Atlanta.
Yeah, Stewart and Bogle $500 lighter in the pocket after that incident last week.
Only 500, huh?
I don't know, it's a pretty expensive slap. Let's move on to the Supercross class, and the big news coming out of last week, of course, Chad Reed, who was running right there with RV1 now, not RV2. They were right up front together, and Chad Reed goes down hard.
Yeah, it's unfortunate for Chad Reed and the 22 Motorsports. You know, it's going to be interesting to see. I was going to talk to Dave Osterman if he's here in Atlanta and find out if they're going to find a replacement rider, because, you know, when you're running a team like that and they're spending a lot of dollars, they want to see that 22 Motorsports bike out there. So, you know, I'm curious to see if they're going to try to replace them. But Honda's a little light out there. I mean, you know, there's a few guys, Andrew Short's out. So, it's bad for the championship fight to see a guy like Chad Reed out, and we wish him a speedy recovery, and hopefully, you know, he can make it back, maybe possibly for Vegas, who knows.
Yeah, we'll try and get you some more information on a replacement rider. Ben Townley was a name that came to mind for me. Is that a guy you might see him pick up?
Yeah, I think Ben Townley rode really well at the Monster Energy Cup in October when we were there, and you know, Ben Townley would be a great replacement. Just depends on what his contracts are, if he's going to have to go race in Europe, and there's no way that they're going to let him, they might let him out of the contract, who knows.
Well, into that Supercross class further, you have Ryan Dungey on the KTM. It seems like all he really needs is a start to be up front.
Well, and we saw when he gets a start, like in Phoenix, he can win these things. And you know, everyone's, you know, say RV1, Villapoto's just, you know, he's running away with it. He's not, by all means. I mean, Dungey's only 13 points down. You know, one little mishap for Villapoto, and Dungey's back leading this championship fight. But the guy who's going to have to step it up, I think, here in Atlanta is James Stewart.
Yeah, James Stewart getting closer to home. Is this kind of soil going to benefit him, getting back to the red clay, something he's used to? Is that an advantage?
I think so, and I mean, if people remember the fight that him and Chad Reed had here last year, I mean, it was epic. I mean, we'll be talking about that that race for 20 years from now. I mean, these guys had 1-2 secured here in Atlanta, and they both come together and they hand over first and second to Ryan Villapoto won here last year. Dungy was second, and Chad ended up getting the final podium, and James was off of that podium. I look for that same type of racing. Atlanta, you know, lends itself to that type of racing here. The clay's good here, the Georgia Red Dome. It looks like the guys at Dirtworks did a great job on preparing the track, so I look for more exciting racing in that Supercross class.
Yeah, the track looks incredible, and you mentioned all the injuries that are in there. Now there's space for other riders to move up. Maybe a Wyndham, maybe somebody else who we don't even know of, a privateer, somebody who's going to step into that main and at least make their name known.
Well, you mentioned Kevin Wyndham. I mean, that's a guy that can take, you know, opportunities going to present itself with so many guys out. And, you know, we haven't even, you know, we talked about maybe Justin Brayton. He might not ride here because he had an injury. Tedesco's out. I mean, there's a lot of guys that are out here. And for Kevin Wyndham, this is a great opportunity for him to get up on that podium. And he's got the speed. It's just whether or not, you know, he can get up on that box, but it's going to take a good start. And the privateers you mentioned, I mean, those guys are saying, hallelujah, man. We got some factory guys out of this thing. We get a chance and an opportunity to make it into that main event. And that's important for a privateer, not only for the pocketbook, but for their confidence, you know, to go out there and run 20 laps in that Supercross class.
It's going to be a great day of racing here from the Georgia Dome. Jim and I will be bringing you all the action throughout the day with practice reports and a post-race wrap-up. Let us know who you think is going to run with RV1 up front, and also who you think might take the Supercross Lights East Regional second round here in Atlanta. Connect with us on Facebook, facebook.com/supercrosslive, and twitter.com/supercrosslive, all day from Atlanta.